Yes, and even are all going to join Cross Guild, and if this is true, Buggy might just become Pirate King. By the end of this video, you'll know the names I just censored, and I can guarantee at least one of these will surprise you. So over the last couple of weeks, my mind has been obsessed with Buggy D Clown. I can't stop thinking about Cross Guild and how Buggy's speech in chapter 1082 is my new favorite speech in One Piece. And as the hype calmed down, eventually I began to wonder more and more about who will join Cross Guild. How will Buggy get his hands on the Poneglyphs and ultimately become Pirate King? And that's exactly what I'll be answering here today, because after days and days of research and letting my mind run wild, I realized that Oda is planning one of the greatest side plots in One Piece history, and I can't wait to show how this Cross Guild story will all play out. So leave a like, it really helps the video out, and let's dive into Buggy D Clown's road to the One Piece. For starters, let's ask ourselves who will join Cross Guild. We already know that Buggy, Mihawk, and Crocodile are the main 3 members, and don't forget this legendary new recruit who took out a Vice Admiral. But if Buggy's going to rise to the top, he needs more members. He'll need power and he'll need intel. He'll need someone who can translate Poneglyphs, and more importantly, he'll need a musician, because as someone who was once on Roger's ship, he knows better than anyone that you can't reach the One Piece without singing your heart out to some Bing sake. And by the end of the video, we'll answer all of these positions. So first things first, the most obvious, plausible, and exciting characters who will be joining Cross Guild. But to understand these first 3 members, I had to explain a very important moment in Cross Guild's history. During Roger's execution, we see the former warlords witnessing the legendary death of Goldie Roger. Of course, this is why Buggy's speech hit us so hard, since not only was he once on Roger's crew and missed a chance to see Laugh-Tale, but Mihawk and Croc were also there. I believe Buggy in this moment reminded them of Roger that day, and that's why Mihawk looked so surprised, because after all of these years, he's forgotten his desire to seek out the One Piece. But what's really interesting about this callback is that if you look back to the panel where Oda showed us this execution once again, showing us the young warlords were all there, and we see 5 pirates, and in the middle next to each other there are the 3 Cross Guild captains, Buggy, Croc, and Mihawk. So was this foreshadowing that they would eventually join and create Cross Guild? Since after all, chapter 1082, Buggy's speech had many references to the Roger execution, and we even see his fight that day with Shanks. And isn't it weird that Buggy isn't one of the last ones shown? Instead, this panel shows Doflamingo, Shanks, and Dragon as the last one shown. Dragon is kind of strange, but we probably just need more context, and Shanks is understandable. But Dofi? I mean, that's strange if we're taking order of importance, since Roger and Ace are the very last ones shown. So why would Dofi be put closer to the end over Buggy? And so maybe Buggy was actually placed before Dofi because Oda wanted to foreshadow these main 3 Cross Guild members in the middle together. And then I began to wonder, what if we expand this panel? We already know Buggy, Mihawk, and Croc are in Cross Guild, but what if everyone on this panel together would eventually team up to find the One Piece? On the right side we have Dofi, and on the left side we have Moria. And the more and more I thought about it, the more I researched, the more I realized I was onto something big here. Based off that panel, the first character to consider is Moria joining. And we already have the perfect setup to this being Perona. Maybe it's just me, but I loved Mihawk and Perona's dynamic more than Moria and Perona. I can't wait to see Perona reunite with Mihawk, and with Moria fitting the warlord status of the Cross Guild captains, why not bring another warlord into the group? Moria's crew is kind of pointless now, it's really just him and Perona, so I could even see a scenario where Perona goes directly to Cross Guild looking to speak to her former master Mihawk for help. And I don't think Mihawk would refuse. For one, he does seem to have a soft spot for Perona just like he does with Zoro.
気をつけていけ。
But also, her devil fruit powers are kind of broken. If you remember during Thriller Bark, Perona absolutely destroyed everyone in the Straw Hat crew except for Usopp. I know it's just a gag, but her ghostly abilities could be great for what I'm going to be talking about in the next section of this video, which is an Impel Down 2.0 situation, as she can take out a bunch of fodder with ease. And then there's Moria, whose devil fruit is honestly even more ridiculous. Commanding an army of zombies is still kind of ridiculous if used right. And I've always seen Moria as another Buggy. He's a little stronger, he's just as weird, and I've always seen Moria to Kaido kind of like what Buggy is to Shanks. And Moria does also have a strange design resembling an evil clown with his giant clown shoes and strangely shaped body, so I'm thinking him and Buggy would get along perfectly. And okay, I'll be honest, I just really love Perona, and even if I don't like Moria, I do just want her to join just for her. Now I mentioned an Impel Down 2.0 situation, and that comes from the idea that Croc and Buggy already broke out of Impel Down previously, so what if they do it again? Think about how legendary Buggy would become, known as the only person to cause multiple Impel Down breakouts. And this could actually lead to a gag where people start thinking Buggy is the legendary sun god warrior Nika. We actually made an entire video about this before, where we explain how most of the world may see Buggy as Nika when the story is over, with Luffy not wanting the title or recognition as the hero, and with Buggy taking credit for things like Cross Guild, we can see how this could happen. I'll leave a link in the description for this theory, but this Impel Down 2.0 situation would further that idea. So while Moria and Perona are dealing with the fodder at the lower levels, then we have Mihawk, Crocodile, and maybe even Buggy continuing to push higher and higher. We could even see Croc or Mihawk versus Magellan, which would be a really cool fight. And finally reaching the furthest levels of Impel Down. This is how we reach our next important member to join Cross Guild. But before that, subscribe and hit that bell like Luffy and Skypiea to be notified every time we drop a video. We have a massive Wano review and analysis coming out in June, and a few massive theory videos. Trust me, you're not gonna want to miss these videos.
始まるんだよ。海賊の歴史上最大の覇権争いが。
Doflamingo is known as the Joker, so he fits perfectly in this alliance with Buggy D Clown. I mean, could you imagine how perfect it would be to see Buggy speak to Dofi saying, "Join me, Joker," or him saying, "Joker in the Clown, it's time to team up." But an even better scene that I would love to see is Croc breaking Doflamingo out of his cell and Impel Down. If you remember all the way back during Marineford, we get a clash between Dofi and Croc, with Doflamingo asking Croc to join him. So it would be such a cool moment to see the tables turning if Croc goes over to Dofi's cell, as he's now the one asking Dofi to join him. It would be wild if that Marineford moment all the way back then was foreshadowing to an alliance between the two.
Oi, oi, Maniero!
We know Dofi was interested in teaming up with Croc at one point, and if he's breaking him out of prison alongside Cross Guild, why would he say no? It seems from their interactions at Marineford that Doflamingo and Croc know each other at least decently well. Maybe just from their warlord status, but maybe it goes deeper as they both came up during the same era. They could even be rivals of sorts, so I'd love to see more interactions between the two. Dofi would also be a really important character for Cross Guild for many reasons, like power and intel. I know Dofi catches some slack for losing to Luffy and being kind of irrelevant and locked in a cell ever since. But if we really think about it, the birdcage was broken, a Yonko level feat if we're being for real. I mean, not even Fujitora could get through it. Now, I'm not saying Dofi is a Yonko level character, but let's be real, if not even Fuji, Sabo, or Zoro could cut through his birdcage, that proves this man was way stronger than we realized while he was also fighting Long Luffy at that time. I believe he was expending a lot more hockey and energy than we think on that birdcage. Power-wise, I still have him over Crocodile, and I know it's a hot take, but I think he's even stronger than someone like Queen. His Devil Fruit is so much fun, and don't forget, he still has Conqueror's Haki. But aside from power, Dofi is also very smart. He has an absurd amount of intel as well, from his Celestial Dragon connections to his connections to multiple Yonko crews and evil scientists like Caesar and more. Dofi has knowledge on things like the sacred treasure of Marijoa, and even valuable devil fruits like Law's Opiopi no Mi being worth 5 billion berry bounties and its awakened hidden powers. Doflamingo could potentially bring in Caesar the Clown, the Neo Meds, and shout out to Mr. Bushido for bringing up the Neo Meds to me. I didn't think it could fit until I realized Doflamingo is very likely a candidate. Think about it, if we now have Buggy D Clown, Dofi the Joker, and Caesar Clown, 3 notorious clown figures all in one group. When Mihawk and Croc talk about power and furthering their influence through a military force, Germa already has a clone army, so that could also fit in there. And who knows what kind of crazy new inventions the Neo Mads could come up with. Dofi also has his former crew, which are extremely loyal, and let's remember how ridiculous Sugar's Devil Fruit was. These Doflamingo family additions to Cross Guild aren't all amazing, but I I can't help feeling like Giola and guys like Treble just fit the evil but goofy vibe with Cross Guild. Doflamingo being the string that ties these guys together makes him actually crucial for the Yonko crew. But there's still the biggest reason why I believe Doflamingo is the perfect fit to join Cross Guild, and that's because Doflamingo is the former king of the underworld. With Doflamingo taken down and putting Impel down, Buggy's influence has risen as he's taken over Doflamingo's former role as king of the underworld. And Doflamingo having this reputation fits perfectly as he knows how to deal with these types of people, and he has respect as essentially a former narco kingpin, and he has so many ties in the underworld that we may not even know of yet. He can help him find armed dealers for Buggy's men, and he has the respect from these criminals as he's one of the greatest criminals ever. And let's say Buggy does save Dofi from Impel down, this also leads me to my next question, which is Buggy is racing the Laptail to find the One Piece. But even if he did get his hands on all 4 Poneglyphs, he would need someone who could read them and transcribe the message. As far as we know, there isn't anyone already on Buggy's crew who can do this. And so what if one of the reasons they go to Impel down is in search of a criminal who had this ability? We know reading Poneglyphs is a crime, so it's very possible that some pirates or scholars were sent to Impel down in the past after researching the ancient text. Another way this could play out is through Dofi. Like I mentioned earlier, he seems to have many connections, information on taboo subjects, and important people. So maybe Dofi knows someone in Impel down or someone in general, and then Cross Guild's next move would be to go after these potential Poneglyph readers. In the process of Impel down 2, we may see Weevil captured and imprisoned. As another warlord, it's possible Cross Guild pulls him alongside and joins them. He's muscle, he's pure strength, and what is the future of Weevil's character? I'm not as confident as Weevil joining Cross Guild like with Perona, Moria, and Dofi, but it's just another idea to consider. And another character I want to mention quickly here, and a reason why I love the idea of another Impel down situation, is that because Bonchan will be freed and become the final Straw Hat. A lot of One Piece fans may not realize this, but Bonchan is actually still alive. It was revealed in a cover page on chapter 666 when we see him still alive in Impel down. And I don't think Bonchan will join the Cross Guild. Instead, I'm expecting him to end up escaping during this event. He also knows Buggy, as Buggy saw the sacrifice that allowed them to make it out of Impel down at the very end. So I think he returns and sees Bonchan once again, and he will respect his decision and thank him for what he did that day. And Bonchan, knowing the ins and out of Impel down, could even help Buggy escape for the second time. I think Bonchan will turn down Buggy, as it's possible he'll want to search for the revolutionaries with the remaining hidden members of Impel down level 5.5. I'm sure not too many people would be upset with Bonchan becoming a Straw Hat, but even if he doesn't, he could also become a revolutionary or even join the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Plus, I'm sure Sanji would love to have Bonchan around, as he could bring his strange pervy fantasies to reality. I believe Dragon and Luffy might have already been allied by this point in the story, so it's also possible that he could just meet up with both of them while they're allying together, both father and son. Because remember, he was also connected to Ivankov. And if Cross Guild was to invade Impel down and successfully free the remaining prisoners, it makes you wonder what happens to Magellan. Would he join the world government, or would he possibly join Buggy? I know this sounds also absurd, and it is, but it does seem Magellan is on his own and he doesn't follow any rules. He isn't friendly with pirates or marines. And even Doflamingo jokes about Magellan saving him from Emu and the Godosei killing him. And now that I think about it, it would be really cool if coincidentally Buggy and Cross Guild saved Doflamingo right before he's about to be assassinated. Now, did you ever wonder what happened to the rest of the level 6 Impel down escapees that Blackbeard freed during the Impel down arc? Well, the Godosei and Sengoku sure did. It stated that the Godosei didn't spread this information to the public, meaning there's a bunch of the world's most dangerous criminals and pirates roaming freely around the One Piece world. This could be where we get introduced to a few new powerful characters who join Cross Guild, with Buggy already being known as the man who freed these other prisoners and many of his fanboys being previous Impel down escapees. We might see this trend reoccur with more powerful members. We're yet to hear anything about these other level 6 members, but since Cross Guild is recruiting, I wouldn't be shocked if some of the former prisoners currently in Cross Guild might have even known some of them in the past. Think about Crocodile and Mr. 1, or Das Bones. Croc was in prison in level 6, while Das Bone, his right hand man, was only placed in level 4. So there's a potential that there's crewmates in Buggy's crew already who know these level 6 escapees, and they could lead us to their whereabouts. And now moving on from Impel down, there's 2 other members for Cross Guild that I really would love to join. They'd be perfect fits as they're already bounty hunters. Some of you may already guessed it, but before that, make sure to like the video because we worked really hard on this and it really does help us out. These 2 bounty hunters that I'm talking about are Zoro's bros, Johnny and Yosaku. You know, we haven't seen these bros since the East Blue saga. They would be the ones who say stuff like Zoro bro or Sister Nami, with Zoro now a retired bounty hunter and now a straw hat heading for the One Piece, it would be hilarious if these two jokers ended up with the actual Joker, a literal clown, Buggy. Joni and Yasuku were Zoro's bounty hunting buddies, so they have experience in this field. And if you remember, they actually did come across Mihawk in Zoro's battle with Mihawk when he first met his future apprentice at the Barantier. They know the immense skill and strength that Mihawk possesses, so this might be another reason to team up with a cross guild. I kind of just want this one to happen. You know, they're not too strong and they can really only fight off fodder and go after weaker bounties, but I just kind of love their goofiness, and I think it'd be a perfect fit for Cross Guild and Buggy, because you know, we've already spoken of these powerful and important pirates like Doflamingo, but at the end of the day, Cross Guild is the most fun and exciting things, and these two pass the vibe check. Buggy and Luffy are bound to cross paths eventually, and it would be so funny for Zoro and his old bros to run into each other in this way. Oda loves bringing back the OG, so I can't wait to see if he pulls the trigger on these bounty hunting brothers. Another connection that Buggy has is his connections to the Roger Pirates. Is it possible that someone like Scopper Gaban joins Buggy? I used to think Rayleigh would ally with him, but now that I think about it, he fits way more with Luffy or Shanks. We haven't seen many of their former Roger Pirates, but if Buggy was able to bring them together under the Cross Guild, it would only expand his legend across the world. It could be really funny seeing a newspaper that says Yonko Buggy is now the leader of the former Roger Pirate, with Morgan typing up Buggy comparing him to Roger. And now I have one final really wacky and ridiculous option for who could join Buggy's Cross Guild, and that's the Beast Pirates. Okay, hold up, and hear me out. I promise it's not what you think, but you'll understand soon enough. And I want you to join me on this journey because I'm gonna take you through what I think could be the greatest cover story in One Piece history. I mentioned some of these original ideas in my One Piece 1082 Everything You Missed video, and by the way, subscribe for those. You guys seem to be loving that series, and they're honestly just so fun to make. So in chapter 1082, Buggy makes a speech which shows us Cross Guild will be aiming for the One Piece. But what's so perfect about this is how they could gather some of these poneglyphs. I think Mihawk and Crocodile are severely underestimating Buggy's charisma and connections. For example, the first goal should be to gather the rope poneglyphs. And where does Cross Guild start? Well, after they visit Impel Down, how about a journey to Wano Kuni? As wild as this sounds to Mihawk and Crocodile, Buggy knows Momonosuke, the new shogun of Wano. If you remember, Oden and Momo were on Buggy's crew with Roger all those years ago. Except to Momo, he might actually remember Buggy since it was that long ago in his mind. And let's just be real here, who's gonna forget this phase? And Buggy also knows from his trips on Roger's crew to Wano that this land holds one of the 4 main road poneglyphs. Cross Guild journeys to Wano, and this could be the second part of a long Cross Guild cover story after Impel Down. And aside from Buggy knowing Momo, he was also a crew member of Wano's beloved Oden. It would be really funny if Cross Guild invades the country and we have a little scuffle between Mihawk and Yamato, who is now the guardian deity of Wano. Mihawk has to fight someone powerful, so I just thought Yamato would be the best fight for him. And then it could be really funny if the next chapter's cover story is the Yonko, Buggy, and Yamato having a fun piratey conversation about Ace, Luffy, and of course, Yamato is in amazement at all the stories Buggy's telling her about his days with Oden, and also all his journeys and adventures with the Pirate King, Goldie Roger, who she learned about all through Oden's journals. We know Yamato loves Oden, so who knows, maybe she even recognizes Buggy, as Oden even wrote about him and Shanks since he considered them little brothers. I just think it would be so cool to see, so Oda, I really hope that he does this. And just from this one interaction, Buggy could be accepted and loved by the 2 most important figures of Wano, Momonosuke and Yamato, and by gaining their trust, getting that first row poneglyph might actually be a lot easier than Croc and Mihawk think. And the most hilarious part about all of this is that it would prove Buggy right when he told Mihawk, we don't need power and we don't need to fight the Yonko. It's a race to the poneglyphs, a race to Laugh Tale in the One Piece. I just find this idea hilarious since it's not Mihawk's strength that helps them get their first poneglyph, instead it's Buggy charisma and absurd connections. Plus, it would be really cool to see Mihawk interacting with the land of swordsmen and samurai, as the scabbards and other powerful samurai look at Mihawk as some kind of sword god. And also remember how I said Buggy needs someone who can read poneglyphs? Well, what if Momo and Sukiyaki actually know someone who can help him? Or they can give them information and point Buggy in the right direction to a new island to find someone who can, since the Kozuki are people who can read poneglyphs, they might know of a clan in the distance that knows how to do this. And since the Cross Guild is now speed running their road to Laugh Tale, could you imagine if one of the scabbards or Momo gives gives Buggy a Weaver card to Zoe. Buggy can bring up how he also knows Dog and Cat and once visited Zoe during their travels to Laugh Tale. Man, that would just be so funny to see Croc and Mihawk's reaction to Buggy getting handed directions to Zunisha, who you can only find through a Weaver card. Since Buggy might mention he's looking for these Poneglyphs to honor Roger's legacy and see the One Piece for himself, Momonosuke or Raizo or someone within the Scabbards knowing the Poneglyph is hidden there might be the ones to give him the Weaver card. And then Mihawk and Croc would just be even in more shock realizing how easy it's been so far with Buggy leading them to find these Poneglyphs. Buggy's so great at getting along with people, being social and charismatic as we've seen when he threw a party with Ace. And we've also seen with the men who follow him to the ends of the world. Buggy's just a likable guy. He's just got a certain energy around him similar to Luffy where he draws in people. But now finally arriving at Zoe, Mihawk and Croc might be amazed that this giant elephant actually exists, and even more amazed at how nonchalantly Buggy acts like it's no big deal to him since he's seen it before. And once again, seeing the Roe Poneglyph and Buggy being friendly with the Minks, I think Mihawk and Croc might actually start to believe in Buggy. I mean, he's already taken them to Wano to get a Poneglyph and now Zoe. But on the way to Wano and Zoe, there's one character who I think fits perfectly with Cross Guild, and that is Scratch Man Apu. We never knew what happened to Apu after Wano, but I've had a theory for a while that Apu would be one to create the new Beast Pirates. And this comes from the idea that Apu would take in the numbers. We know he loves them so much and they love him. He's got this mutual estranged bond with the Onis, and Apu could even bring along other Beast Pirates like the Smile Eaters and other miscellaneous characters from Wano that have nowhere to go after Kaido was defeated. It seems like Apu's role is uncertain to the future of the story. And like I mentioned with Buggy wanting to get a musician on his crew, and as annoying as Apu is, as much as I dislike him, I think he would be the perfect fit for Buggy's Cross Guild since we know every circus needs its party music. He's also just so goofy and wacky looking that I think he just instantly fits in Buggy's crew. So my prediction is that somewhere along this journey, we'll get a couple of Apu cover stories meeting Buggy in the Cross Guild. Alright, so I already told you who I think will join Cross Guild, but now I'll tell you some names that I don't think will join. First, I see many people saying Law will join, but one big reason that I don't think Law will join is because Doflamingo. Or second most likely big name to join Cross Guild aside from Perona. And so if this is the case, there's no way I can see Law wanting to be on the same crew as Doflamingo. Another I don't think is likely is Boa Hancock. I know she's a warlord, but I see Boa joining Luffy's Grand Fleet at the end of the series because she's as loyal to Luffy as Barto is, and she's already one of Luffy's biggest allies. Boa is so in love with Luffy that joining another Yonko crew would be like backstabbing her love for the Straw Hat Pirate. And so now that we know Buggy will have an absolutely stacked crew comparable to Shanks, Blackbeard, and the Straw Hats, let's ask, where does this lead us? I think after acquiring the Poneglyphs and the world government already acknowledging the problems with Cross Guild, they're gonna have a similar scenario to what the Straw Hats are facing at Egghead. Not this extreme, but I would love to see Mihawk face an admiral, maybe Green Bull or Fujitora. I remember on the OPU podcast we spoke about Mihawk's potential backstory. We know he became powerful by having Shanks as a rival and having a legendary fight against him, but Mihawk is known previously to being a warlord as the Marine Hunter, as we learned from Crocodile. So it makes you wonder Mihawk had to have other huge fights besides Shanks. So what if during his rise to fame he defeated the previous world's strongest swordsman who was an admiral at the time? Also, I just realized this, but it's even better comparing Zoro to Mihawk as they both started out as bounty hunters. Anyways, Mihawk defeating an admiral in his past would be such a cool lore reveal and adding to his title and reputation as the Marine Hunter. We know Mihawk is strong enough to do this, but it would be even cooler if this is actually how Mihawk became a warlord. By defeating an admiral, the world government offered him the position of the warlord to have peace and freedom. They had to make a deal with Mihawk because he just took out one of their strongest fighters as he became a real problem for the organization. And shout out to OPU, we do a One Piece stream over there every Friday, so do me a favor and go subscribe to One Piece University. Now, if Mihawk really did fight an admiral in his past, it makes you wonder about the future. The moment Cross Guild was created, my first thought was, which Marine is Mihawk going to go after? And I came to the conclusion that Oda would have to show us some of Mihawk's abilities and power before Zoro. So what if we see Mihawk fight Admiral Fujitora or Admiral Green Bull, who are both swordsmen but also have amazing devil fruits? And let me know in the comments, which fight would you rather see, Mihawk versus Fuji or Mihawk versus Green Bull? And after this, Cross Guild type would be at an all-time high, giving Mihawk his big moment in the crew, and the entire world would have their eyes on this bounty hunting crew after Mihawk skyrockets into fame again. And this would be Buggy's chance to go after the One Piece. I said that Buggy might have been right about going and looking for the treasure, the Poneglyphs, and finding the One Piece, but I think Mihawk saying that we're not going to fight Luffy, Shanks, and Blackbeard to carry you to the top was definitely foreshadowing that Cross Guild would eventually run into a Yonko crew, and it would be really cool if it was the Red Hair Pirates, because now we could see the longest awaited rematch between Mihawk and Shanks that everyone wants. And the Straw Hats versus Cross Guild would also be amazing because you could get Buggy versus Usopp being an all-time amazing fight, fight, and also of course Zoro versus Mihawk. I think what's most likely is that we're going to have the true pirate battle royale at Elbaf, Lodestar, or even Laugh 2. I made an entire video about this 6 months ago when Oda confirmed this battle royale, insane matchups for the final saga, but at some point, the Yonko crews will have to face as they all head towards the One Piece.
The One Piece! The One Piece is real!
So to summarize, Cross Guild will now have Dofi, Perona, Moria, Weevil, Apu, and the New Beast Pirates. More impaled down prisoners, Caesar the Clown, the Neo Mads, and the remaining level 6 prisoners who escaped the first impel down. And don't forget Joni and Yosoku, and probably some new bounty hunters as well, some new badass characters that we've never even heard of. I think they will be introduced in the future to join Cross Guild. But do you think this new and improved Cross Guild is enough to make Buggy Pirate King? Honestly, I think it just might be. If you enjoyed this video or anything I said, leave a like, and if you want more One Piece theories, click on this video where I explain 16 insane One Piece theories that'll make your head spin.